All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday. We're going to do Rashi from the fourth Aliyah in Behaalotcha. Thank you to Rabbi Levitt for filling in for me yesterday. In the fourth Aliyah, we get into the topic of the Chatzotzrot. So Debbie, I like the background, but you can get a trumpet if you want. Get into the whole topic of the construction of these chatzotzrot, the trumpets. Aseh l'cha shtei chatzotzrot, Hashem says to Moshe. Moshe specifically had to construct these chatzotzrot, and it really follows or dovetails on the rest of the topic of our parsha and Parshas Naso, Bamidbar. The whole idea of the movement of the camp seems to be the primary reason why the chatzotzrot are constructed and why they're mentioned over here, because that's what will call the people together and let them know that they have to travel. After they hear the sound of the trua, of the trumpet, they would have to start to travel, and the whole process of traveling would go forward. So that seems to be why it's mentioned over here. However, two more purposes for the chatzotzrot are mentioned here at the tail end of our aliyah. When you have a war in your land, when your enemy is besieging you, you should call out with the trumpets. You will be remembered before God, and you will be saved from your enemies. So purpose number one is war. Another purpose, on the days of your rejoicing, and on your holidays, on your new months. You should also blow these trumpets when you're sacrificing the special sacrifices of these days, of Shabbos, of Yontif, of Rosh Chodesh. And when you do that, again, just like by the wartime case, you'll be remembered before God. So too over here, you will be remembered before God. I am the Lord your God. So there seems to be multiple purposes to the chatzotzros. Now, it's not altogether clear, very complicated in Rishonim and Poskim, and trying to analyze these psukim about what exactly the chatzotzros are used for, what are the trumpets blown for, what is the shofar blown for, which of these instances is just shofar, just trumpet, both trumpet and shofar. Seems to be the majority of opinions would be that in the Beis Hamikdash itself, whenever the trumpets were blown, the shofar, or whenever the shofar was blown, the trumpets were blown along with it, except for certain isolated cases where you would only have trumpets or only have shofars. But in the Beis Hamikdash, probably both were blown. So the references over here to chatzotzros are not necessarily only to trumpets; they might also be relevant to shofar as well. The only exception to these cases mentioned over here, Simchaschem, Moadechem, Rosh Chadshechem, Milchama, all these various cases are, of course, Rosh Hashanah, where it's mentioned separately in the Torah that it's a Yom Trua, it's a day of blowing, and there it's very clear that it's meant to be a shofar. And by Yovel, also where the shofar is blown, also very clear that it's a shofar there as well. Those are the other cases outside of these instances where the shofar and or chatzotzros would have been blown. But interestingly, in this pasuk, which generally refers to the Moadim, not specifically to Rosh Hashanah, Rashi deduces from the language of the pasuk a hint, which Chazal really point to the structure of our tefillah on Rosh Hashanah. If you know that the Rosh Hashanah Amidah for Musaf is unique throughout the entire year, and normally we have a certain format or pattern for the Amidah on various kinds of days. On the Amidah on a regular day, we have 19 brachos, right? The first three, the last three, and then sandwiched in the middle, the 13 requests, the 13 bakashos, originally 12, now 13. On Yontif, Shabbos, all those other days, you have the same structure, 3 in the beginning, 3 at the end, but instead of the 13 requests in the middle, you have one singular bracha in the middle, Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Shabbos, or Mekadesh Yisrael V'Hazmanim, or Mekadesh Yisrael V'Roshei Chodashim, either the Rosh Chodesh bracha, the Yontif bracha, or the Shabbos bracha, but it's one bracha in the middle that captures the essence of that day. And that's true for Shachris, Mincha, Marav, Musaf, on all of those days, Shabbos, Yontif, and Rosh Chodesh. However, the one exception is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah has the same 3 brachos in the beginning, as we always do, the same 3 brachos at the end, which we always do. But in the middle, instead of having one bracha, we have 3 brachos, split into 3 different sections: Malchios, Zichronos, and Shofaros. Kingship, remembrance, and Shofar. And the psukim of each of those sections describes those phenomena, and it ends with a bracha for each of those sections. So Rashi sees, based on Chazal, hints in this pasuk which talks about blowing of the shofar, or really of the Chatzotzros, a hint to the threefold structure of the Musaf Hamid on Rosh Hashanah. Ani Hashem Elokechem, mikan lamadnu malchios im zichronos v'shofaros. From here we learn the threefold combination of malchios, zichronos, and shofaros. Shneimar kan uskatem. It says you should blow. Okay, so that's shofaros, and then it says v'hayu lachem lezikaron, and that blowing should be a remembrance for you. So that's zichronos. And then the pasuk ends, Ani Hashem Elokechem, which is speaking about God and the kingship of God, and that is malchus. That's malchios. So within this pasuk, we have that threefold structure of the Amida already hinted to, that somehow shofar evokes memory, and all of it is supposed to be paired with the kingship of God. And that's all in the service of what we're trying to accomplish on Rosh Hashanah, which is the day of the coronation of the king, which is a time also, because we're coronating God as our king, when he remembers our deeds, zichronos, and all of that is evoked in us and in him through the means of the shofar, which we blow on that day. Thank you, Debbie, for changing the background. I love the trumpeteers. Very beautifully done. And I wish you all a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you,
good day,
Rabbi.
everybody.
Thank you.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Rabbi.
No problem.